Hey folks, this is Sethaldor again from Blade's Edge and the Guild Sacrilege, here to go over a little bit of Retribution specking for Paladins. This is the spec that I do least, so if you have suggestions or comments, please leave them in the section below. First off, let's look at the first row of talents. We have Deflection, increases parry chance, and Benediction reduces mana cost. Well, in a PvE environment, I shouldn't have to be parrying, because that's the tank's job. So, less mana cost on spells means more mana for other spells. I would take that. Next row. Improve Judgments, 2 seconds off Judgment, which is a heavy damage output. Heart of the Crusader, 3% more crit for all attacks. Yep, and that's not just for yourself, that is for the whole raid, because that is a debuff on the target. And then your might gives you more AP. I would take Judgments and Crusader. Next row. Vindication reduces the target's AP. You could debate that. Because it only lasts 10 seconds, I would see that as more of a PvP kind of like passive debuff thing, because it helps you survive longer, but it has applications in PvE. Conviction, 5% more crit with everything. Seal of Command, you deal holy damage with your strikes and hit 2 additional targets. And Pursuit of Justice, reduces disarm duration and increases movement speed. Out of all of these, I would take 5% crit, of course. Next row, Eye for an Eye. Crits against you cause damage to the attacker with damage cap. Sanctity of Battle increases chance to critically hit and increases damage of Exorcism and Crusader Strike. And finally, Crusade increases damage against all damage caused, by 3%, and then an additional 3% if it's one of those races, which almost everything is. There are very few things not listed in Crusade, so that's essentially a 6% damage increase. And then look at Sanctity of Battle. When capped, it's 3% crit and 15% more damage from 2 abilities I use all the time. I would take that. Next row. Two-handed weapon specialization, 6% damage from my weapon. Awesome. Signified Retribution, increases damage of Ret Aura, ooh, big whoop. But increases damage caused by friendly party members affected by my aura by 3%. So that's another 3% bonus damage to me and the rest of my raid. And go back and max out Sanctity of Battle. Next row, Vengeance, gives you a 3% physical and holy damage bonus for 30 seconds after dealing a crit, stacking up to 3 times for an effective 9% bonus damage. 9% more damage? Yeah, okay, that's freaking insane. All these percentage increases in Ret are why Paladins do so well. Instead of just flat numbers, it is a percentage of whatever you do, which is why stacking strength works. Which leaves us with 2 points to put somewhere else. Could do Eye for an Eye, which is really PvP. Vindication was debatable. Move speed increase. It's more PvP, but it has applications in PvE. Seal of Command is going to be a good trash killer if you choose to pick it up, but I would take Improved Blessing of Might, because 25% more AP from a buff is excellent, especially with all these percentage boosts. Alright, next row. We have Art of War, increases damage done by most of my abilities by 10%, and I can reduce the cast time of my Flash of Light or Exorcism to instant. That's really awesome, because I don't want to sit there and cast Exorcism. And if you recall, we did increase the damage of Exorcism by 15% previously in the tree. Judgments of the Wise grants replenishment and gives me 25% base mana when I judge, which I'll be doing every 8 seconds. Unless I have a set bonus, then it can be even shorter. So that's that row. Next, Sanctified Wrath increases crit chance of Hammer of Wrath by 25% and reduces cooldown of wings by, okay, well, double it. So 50% a minute, and I bypass 50% of the target's DR while affected by wings. Fanaticism increases the crit chance of all judgments and reduces the threat caused. Without this talent, I would probably pull aggro. So that means we have to get Repentance, which is technically an effective CC, even though no one ever uses it. So, Repentance and 3 of 3 Fanaticism. Frankly, I would take it just for the 18% crit on Judgment, which is delicious. Which leaves 1 point to spend. Let's grab Seal of Command. Next row. Swift Retribution. Auras also increase range and melee attack speed by 3%. 3% haste, awesome. For the raid, I might add. Ret Pallies actually give a lot to a raid. Crusader Strike, have to have that. It's your instant strike. This has gone up and down. It used to be higher than 100%, then it dropped to like 98. Now it's down to 75%. I think it's changing again in Cataclysm, so the damage of this spell has been up and down throughout the life of it, so. And Sheath of Light. Your spell power is increased by 30% of your AP. And your crit heal the target for X amount over 12 seconds. If you ask me, this is more of a Holy spec with a weird AP thing thrown on it. This would be much better in Holy, but that's just my thoughts. I would take it for the spell power AP link. Righteous Vengeance. This is a dot. This is a dot for a paladin. In PvP, it's an excellent rogue killer. In PvE, it's just another thing on the target doing damage, so take it. You have 2 points left. Throw them in Sheath of Light, and then pick up Divine Storm, which is getting a massive revamp in Cataclysm, just a heads up. Let's see. So that leaves Sanctified Wrath, Divine Purpose, which reduces chance to be hit, and Hand of Freedom removes stuns. Eye for an Eye, Vindication, Pursuit of Justice, and Deflection. None of which give you particularly any advantage in a PvE scenario. Except this reduces your wings cooldown, which I love, because I pop that every time I can. See my Retribution strategy video for more on that, which will be coming out soon if it's not already out. Alright, so I think we're done in the ret tree. Let's hit Protection. We have Divinity, which increases healing done to and by you, and Divine Strength, which increases total strength by 15%. Considering strength is where I get most of my AP from, I would definitely take 15% more strength, of course. Now we have the second row open, which is Stoicism, PvP talent. Look at my prot tree for more description on these abilities. I'm just going to go quickly. Guardian's Favor. This would be good to pick up if we picked up the Divine Purpose, because this increases the duration of Blessing of Freedom, but that's more of a PvP strategy thing. And then 5% dodge, which I shouldn't have to do in a PvE environment. So let's hit Holy. Reduces pushback of heal spells. I shouldn't be having to heal unless it's maybe a quick instant from Art of War, and Seals of the Pure. I'll describe this in my Holy specking video. Go ahead and check that out for a more in-depth relation to it, but this is what you want to take, as when you do single target DPS, you should be using Vengeance, Seal of Vengeance, or for Horde Corruption. Alright, let's see what we unlocked. More healing from the 3 heal spells, 10% more intellect, or reduces the duration of fear and disorient effects. PvP, healing, and I guess I would take this because what I want is in the third row. And intellect increases spell power, at least in Cataclysm. I think it does very minorly in current live build. And if you increase your spell power, there are spell power coefficients on your abilities. So yes, this does help you, if at least minorly, with your damage output. Next row, improve lay on hands. Grants the target physical DR, basically, when you click lay on hands, and reduces its cooldown. This gives you mana back after crit healing, and this is what I want. Causes concentration aura to make all affected targets immune to silence and interrupt effects, and improves all other auras by 100%. Now, this is not just the primary effect of the aura. For example, Devotion aura, yes, the armor gets doubled. Ret aura, yes, the damage done gets doubled. Resistance auras, yes, the resistance is doubled. And even Crusader aura, the speed is doubled. But this also increases the secondary effects of it, or even the third effects of it. So, to show you what I mean, let's take a look at the Ret tree. My Ret aura not only does damage, does 112 holy damage when the target is struck, but it increases damage done by friendly party members, including myself, by 3%, and grants 3% haste to melee and ranged friendly targets, including myself. So if I can do 100% more of all of those effects, that's double the damage done if a friendly target gets hit, that's 6% damage increase instead of 3, and that's 6% haste instead of 3. This is actually more effective for Ret aura than any of the other auras. The Dev aura healing coefficient is nice, but I wouldn't go this far into the Holy Tree if I was prot. And I have never, ever, ever been able to get the concentration or a part of Aura Mastery to work. If you have tips on that, please leave it in the comment section below. Which leaves 2 points left. Let's see, where can we put those? If you feel like it, Vindication. I would highly recommend avoiding Eye for an Eye and Pursuit of Justice. Deflection is out of the question. Divine Purpose, kind of pointless. Unless you find yourself being stunned a lot for whatever reason. I don't know what's coming in the raids in Kata. Prot Tree, nothing really. So I would throw these two in the either Vindication in the Ret Tree or Improved Lay on Hands in the Holy Tree for a shorter cooldown. Because I find myself being drained in mana in fights like Velithria Dreamwalker, because their Frostbolts will actually drain mana. So when I have a really small mana pool like this, maybe I'll pop Lay on Hands to get some mana back. Or I can always help out the healers by throwing it on maybe someone who's been on the Bone Spike a little too long. It just allows it to be up more often, so you can help in situations that need the little extra. As well as the DR front, that is nice. But I think I'll take a Vindication, because I find myself in 5 mans more than anything. So that is one option for Retribution speccing on a Paladin in the current live build. If you have any suggestions, altercations, or disagreements, please leave them in the comment section below, or even questions, and I will be sure to get around to them as soon as I possibly can. This has been Sethaldor on Blade's Edge in the Guild Sacrilege on how to Ret spec. Thank you for watching, and please subscribe.